Okay, so last week I spoke about if it's a good idea to put your kids in the same room to fall asleep and how to decide that for your family. But this week I'm going to answer a separate question, and that is if you already have the kids in the same room, but they are either ganging up on you, getting really silly at bedtime, distracting each other, or taking a really long time to fall asleep, how to handle that. So first things first, I would think about is, did both of these kids know how to fall asleep before you put them together in the same room? If the answer is no, you might have more of a fundamental sleep challenge that you need to work on first. But if both of them, if you have them in separate rooms and they can both fall asleep fine, but when they're together, they get really silly, they distract each other, maybe it distracts them, they get annoyed by the other child, then it's different. So that's when I would recommend these few things. So number one, if the challenge is during bedtime routine, so kiddos are getting together at the same time, but they wind each other up, they're acting silly, they're not getting their bedtime routines stuff done, or it's taking them a long time to get all of their stuff done, I would consider, and you can do this even if the kids aren't sharing a room, I would consider splitting them up when they're getting ready for bed. So have one child in the bath while the other one's getting some other things done. Or you could send one kiddo upstairs to do bath with one parent while the other finishes something downstairs. And then as soon as that child comes out, you can put the other one in the tub and get the first one ready for bed. So you can split them up. You can keep them in two separate areas while they're getting ready for bed. That way they can have an easier time staying focused, not playing, not getting distracted. The second part is if they are having a hard time falling asleep with the other child there. A few things to think about. Number one, there's always the option that you could put them to bed at separate times. Sometimes that could be simple enough if their ages are far enough apart, and one child isn't going to be upset that the other gets to stay up later. You could consider doing something like that. For some families, that's the easiest option. The second thing that you can do is talk to them and have each of them talk to each other about what is annoying them, if that's a problem. If one kid's acting silly and the other's trying to fall asleep, sit them down and have them maybe draw pictures or talk, depending on their age, to talk about what's making it hard for them to fall asleep or hard for them to relax at bedtime. And having each of them draw pictures will kind of facilitate that conversation that they can have between the two of them. The third thing that I would say is you might need to throw in some incentives. So there would be two different incentives. If you have one child who is being silly, flipping around in bed, making funny noises, trying to say funny things to get the other kid to laugh, then you're going to have one incentive for the child who is doing the funny things and another incentive for the child who's actually trying to fall asleep. The child who's doing funny things, you can incentivize to, if they lay in their bed and fall asleep calmly and quietly without talking, without making noises, without distracting their brother or sister, they can earn points to get a prize. And how old they are will depend on how you do your reward system. You would have a separate incentive for the other child to not respond to the one who is trying to make him or her laugh. So the older child or the other child, it could be the younger child, who's trying to fall asleep and is getting distracted or annoyed by the other child, you would give them an incentive if you can ignore them, not respond. The younger one will probably stop trying, but also you can get a reward or an incentive. So I would, that's another way to do it. And then the fourth way to do it is for them to have one joint reward that they're working towards. It would be a big reward, something that they both agree on, that they come up with together, that they both agree on, that they both will work together. And the way to do it is if both of them fall asleep in their bed calmly and quietly, without, calling out or making funny noises or trying to be silly to distract the other one or get them to laugh, that they both earn one collective point, and as soon as they get so many collective points, they get the reward. Rewards are a whole nother topic. Of course, they need to be exciting enough that the kids care about it. It should be something that the kids pick. I prefer experience rewards over, physical toys or whatever. So get creative, let the kids get creative. And I would encourage you to make it something that they actually care about. So as a recap, you can split the kids up at bedtime routine so they don't distract each other. You can split the kids up at bedtime. You can have 2 separate rewards, one for each child for their individual challenge, one to stay calm and quiet, one to ignore the other one, or it could be for both of them together. And that could work if they're both silly, or if one is silly and one's trying to fall asleep. So that could work either way.